Hi you guys, this is Jayska from a Diamond Sticks YouTube channel. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. You're welcome here. Anyways, on this video, I'm going to try not to make it too long. I'm sorry if it goes into a long form video, but I just wanted to make a little video talking about, well, some more prepping items, basically. So whenever the shift happens, that you all need to start saving, or you should save anyways. I'm having orange juice. It's a lovely day outside, and my irises, my purple irises and my yellow irises have bloomed out. The weeds have overgrown where it's been raining and stuff, but anyways, I don't care if the weeds grow sky high. But I had it on my mind the last few days or whatever, if, like, let's just say, like, we go into like a shift scenario, or like a WW3 scenario or something, you might want to have, if you take medications like I do, you want to have a good supply, if you can get to them, a good supply of medications on hand, you know, in case if something happens. And also, you want to have a good supply of, like, if you have pets like I do, like I have cats, and get me a drink of orange juice. The orange juice is good. Anyways, if you have cats and stuff like I do, or dogs or whatever, any kind of pets, you might want to get a supply if you can. This is all stuff if you can anyways, if you're able to do it. I understand if you're not, because I'm not either. I'm just saying it would be nice to have this stuff, you know. But anyways, it would be good to have like a stockpile for a good while. I would say if you're able to, it would be nice to have a stockpile of like pet food, whether you got a cat, a dog, or some other kind of animal or pet or whatever. It would be good to have, like, whatever their food is, a supply of for at least 6 months to over a year. I mean, the longer you can get stocked up on stuff, obviously the better off you are. And not just the better off you are, but the better off the people around you are. Or the people, you know, you'll probably end up having to help people out, whether you want to or not. Whether it's family or friends or whatever. Or if it's just your neighbors or whoever lives next to you or whatever. In a situation like that, a dire situation, end of the humanity as we know it situation or whatever. And you never know, it might happen. We might see it through, we might see it happening or whatever. But anyways, it would be good to be stocked up on all that. And also like pet medications and stuff like that. And I've heard, I don't know if it's true, y'all might know and you can tell me in the comments if you want to, but I've heard that, like, a human can take pet antibiotics and stuff too. They might not just be as strong as what they would be for a human, but you can take those too if you get in a situation or whatever. And then also, and I know y'all gonna think I'm a hypocrite for saying this, but I think a person, if you have the storage room, it would be a good idea to stock up on, like I have out there at my garbage bin out there, cardboard. Cardboard has all kinds of uses for it. And so does pallets, if you can get a hold of pallets. A lot of times places will give you pallets for free. Let me get a drink of my orange juice. But a lot of times people will give, like, mom and pop type stores and smaller stores, they will give you pallets and stuff Sometimes they'll advertise them, just whoever comes and picks them up, first come, first serve. And people will give pallets and stuff a lot of times, especially like where I live at in a rural area. They will give you pallets and stuff if you ask for them and stuff. Not many places keeps pallets and stuff, because it's just like the same thing with small businesses or whatever. They don't have the room either, but like if you have a garage, or if you have an outside building, a storage building, or even a room in your house that you just keep all your stuff in, your prepping items or whatever, it would be a good idea to keep cardboard. It would also be a good idea to keep pallets, and it would be a good idea to stock up on trash bags and like plastic items, like even storage bins and garbage bags, Ziploc bags, aluminum foil, bacon, um, paper or whatever. It would be a good idea to stock up on all that if you can. I'm not saying that I do it, because obviously I don't, because right now obviously I don't have the income to do it. It would just be a good idea to do it if you can. The reason why I don't have I don't have no space in my house, because my house is a little bitty tiny house and stuff on the inside. It's under I'd say it's under 1,400 square feet. I'd say it's not even that. And then too, like we used to years ago, we had a outside little tiny storage shed out there that was near the fairy garden, near that post there for the Paraline pole years ago. And then the wind is a big factor out here where I live at. It's like whatever's in my yard, the wind catches it. And we've had stuff go into that pond right there. And we had that little storage building years ago go in that pond. We also had an above ground swimming pool one time that was give to us, and we was putting it up, and then the whole thing split apart and some of it went into the pond. And so if there's any kind of, especially in the springtime like it is now, anytime there's any wind or rain or anything like that, a lot of times it will be blown over and be put into the pond and stuff when the wind catches it. Because this is the valley point of these mountains here where I live at. This is the valley, and it's like a suction hole for those mountains and stuff when the wind's blowing and different things. So I don't have the room, is why I don't store things like that. But in general, it's a good idea if you can, and if you have the finances to do it. Now, I'm not telling anybody to go and like hoard everything up and take everything, out of whatever it is you're prepping out of that section and leaving nothing for no one else. I'm not telling you to do that. I think that's really, really rude, and you shouldn't behave like that. You should leave stuff for other people behind so that they can prep too if they're able to. But in general, whenever the time comes and that actually comes to place, and I do think eventually we will see something drastic like that. And whenever that does happen, whether it being like the power going off grid, or a WW3, or just anything, any the thing with the tariffs right now or whatever. I think that when that time comes, it it will mean more the more people who is prepared, whether they had the finances to do it or whatever. The people who prepared, well, obviously they won't be out fighting the chaos that's going to happen, because there definitely will be chaos. And I mean, imagine it or look at it like it is now, even without nothing hardly happening. We're just like in hard economic times right now with finances and money and stuff, and then a lot of jobs and stuff has been gone or been taken over or starting to be taken over from I gotta get a drink of my orange juice. But look at how crazy people act now and how chaotic and evil and mean people act now whenever we haven't even seen such dire times as to other countries or different things. Other countries, some of them have always went through WARs and seen stuff for decades and stuff. We've never had to deal with that like on our own turf, so to speak, or whatever. And I mean, I guess we did in like Pearl Harbor out in Hawaii or whatever. But obviously, I don't even think I was born during that time period. I'm not really up to date on anything educational, history or whatever. I do like history and stuff. I don't keep up with nothing. So I'm sure that was before my time period. I'm 43 years old, so I think that happened back in the 40s or something. And what didn't it say? I'm just going by the Pearl Harbor movie. It was a really good movie. But didn't they say like on that movie that they was awakening? Wasn't Pearl Harbor between the U.S. and the Japan or whatever? And which now we're on good terms with them. But didn't they say back then that it was like waking up a sleeping giant and stuff whenever they did that to the Hawaiian Islands or whatever in the U.S.? I don't know. Y'all can tell me in the comments. But anyways, I think that was even before my time period. But that's all that I ever known of as far as something with GUNSs or BOMBSs or whatever. And something happened on our turf, so to speak, in the U.S. I don't know of anything else that happened in the U.S. other than that. Excuse me. Other than just like back in like the Civil War or whatever, or like that was between the U.S. itself or whatever though. So the Civil I can't say that word, Civil War or whatever, Civil War. I can't say it, but whatever. I don't know of anything else that's happened on the U.S. from other countries. Is what I'm trying to say. But I do think we will see that. Or, anyways, other countries have already seen that and dealt with that for decades, though, but we haven't. And so, just imagine it like on a BLACK, like Friday, like how it used to be. It's not as bad as it used to be, and I don't go to stuff like that or nothing, but because most people do their shopping and stuff online. I really don't shop online. I do it in person, but I don't really have the money to like right now to like shop at big places or nothing. Anyways, gotta get another drink of my orange juice. But what little shopping I do, I just do it local at my little local Walmart that's local to me or whatever, or Dollar Trees or Dollar Generals or whatever. But just think about how people used to act on those occasions and stuff. How wild and stuff people would act over just trying to get a discount on items or whatever. Or look at how people act like in events. Like we've had flooding and stuff is a big problem here in Kentucky, especially here in eastern Kentucky, but it's really not been that bad up until the past 5 or 6 years or so is whenever it's really started to get bad around here. But just think about back in 2022 when we did have that flood. That was the first time that anyone ever came in here, like FEMA or anything like that, or any organizations or anybody like trying to hand out free stuff or whatever to help people. Just look back at that incident, at how people act. And even back then, I noticed people that would come over here from other places to so-called volunteer or to like work or whatever to clean up the flood damage and stuff. And I learned a lot of things just by watching back then at how people and organizations worked and stuff. And in my opinion, what I witnessed and stuff, I'm not going to go in this video and talk all about that or nothing, but I'll just say this, like the people who would come in here, like there was this one girl, she came in here to work, and I don't know how much they got paid for sure. I think it was like either 12 or 13, it might have been $16 an hour. I don't remember. But it was pretty good money, especially for this area, and considering there's not a whole lot of jobs or nothing in this area. And but that girl came in here, she was from Louisiana, and she was telling me that she goes to every single place that there is. Anytime that there's a hurricane, a flood, a tornado, anything that there's a disaster relief of, she told me that she just travels and she volunteers and works for all that. But even like people like that come in here to volunteer, they're living off of and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, I'm just talking about it. I'm just saying or whatever, talking about it. But anyways, they live off of too, because a lot of those organizations, they'll come in here and like for so many days or whatever, they'll come in here and cook like free meals and stuff and just give it out to whoever. And or it's supposed to be meant for like the flood victims. But a lot of those people, and like I said, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's just something I picked up on. That a lot of those people that are so-called volunteers, but it's not volunteering for free, they're getting paid for it. Anyways, they also eat for free, and they get stuff for free too. Like, they'll go through those lines. I seen some of them doing it, including that girl. I'm not going to say her name or nothing, but anyways, she was talking about it and she admitted to it and stuff. And like I said, I'm not going to say that's right or wrong in this video or nothing, but she said that she goes through, that's how she lives off of stuff like that, and I'm sure she's not the only one and stuff. But that's just what I'm saying. It's just, look at how people take advantage of people in certain situations and stuff, and look at how people act now. Just like me, for instance, I don't get along with my family. I'm the black sheep in my family, and just because I live in a neighborhood next to family members or whatever doesn't mean that we're going to get along. Hey, we can't get along now. What makes you think that we're going to get along in a shift, you know? So just look at stuff like that and think about stuff like that, or in general, just think about, like, where I live in a small, corrupted county in a rural place. Think of it like that. Think of the people who's in charge now, and think about, I gotta get a drink of my orange juice. Think about how it's gonna be that much worse in a shift, time period. Let me get a drink of my juice. Think about how it is now. We have laws still, that people are supposed to follow or whatever. And if they don't, right now there's consequences or whatever if they don't abide the rules or whatever, the law or whatever. Think about it, unless if Marshall's Law happened. Think about it if the shift happened or the SHIT hits the fan, kind of speak, or whatever. How do you think people are going to react? How do you think people are going to be then, So yes, obviously it would be better if people found themselves like a community, or even a handful of people, or even just a couple people that they was willing to work with, and vice versa, and you know get through a situation like that in a shift or whatever. And obviously, the more people you would get along with during a shift like that, the better off you are. A bigger community or whatever, it would be better and stuff. And yes, even if people are hoarding up things, there's a good side to that too, because the more people who's prepared, it's going to be better off for society, anyways, you know, whenever that does happen. But at the same time, yeah, when people hoard up stuff like that, I don't think it's right. And I especially don't, it's just my opinion or whatever. Take it or leave it or whatever. It's my channel. But, excuse me. I don't like it at all when people hoard up stuff from the Dollar Tree or the $1.25 store. Because here's the way I look at the $1.25 store, the Dollar Tree. I look at that place, even though we all like discounts and we all like to be frugal, we all like to save money, we all like stuff given to us for free or whatever. Or we all like cheap stuff, or I know I do, or whatever. It would be different though if you make a good income and you're shopping at the Dollar Tree and you're just doing it because you're a tightwad and you're, you know, stingy and you're trying to save money. That's just my opinion, because I think when people shop there that has money, and I'm talking about people who make like individually, I'm talking about people who make like, you know, what I would probably consider middle class, even the first stage of middle class. And I know the middle class is like going away, but still, like 3 sections of middle class is the way I look at it. And I would say the first section group on up of middle class, on up to, you know, each level of middle class and up to the rich. I don't think people with one income like that, that's considered middle class, I don't think, obviously, I don't have no say or control in it. It's just my opinion. But I don't think people like that should be shopping at the Dollar Tree, because I think the Dollar Tree is, I think it's supposed to be more geared towards poor people or people with like really, really low, poor incomes, you know, poverty level incomes and stuff. And I think because ever since the 2019, 2020, 21 on up stuff, I think people have just been shopping even more at these places. And this is just my opinion, and I don't know nothing about nothing. But from what little bit I can tell, when it comes to the economy and money stuff, it seems like because so many people are shopping at those places that don't need to be shopping at those places, in my opinion, they're making the prices go up sky high on them little places, and it ain't gonna be even worth it for those places because of the people like that who will shop there for whatever reasons when they don't really need to be shopping there. Especially, it'd be different if they was just going in to get like 1 or 2 items, but they're getting like all their stuff from there or whatever when they can afford other things. They can afford the higher prices. It's just like now, whenever I go to the grocery store, and this has been happening, it's just getting worse. Ever since, like I said, the whole cough stuff. But anyways, every time I go to the grocery store, and I'm like really, really poor right now financially, really, really, really low income. And so, anyways, whenever I go to the stores or whatever, and I'm talking mostly about grocery stores right now, but I mean that too about the Dollar Tree. But anyways, I don't think it's right at all, because they're just gonna make the prices go up higher, because they're gonna think, the company's gonna think, oh, there's such a demand for it because so many people are shopping there. It's not that so many people are shopping there because they can't um afford it. It's just, but there's that many greedy people that shop in there and stuff. That's the way I look at it. Anyways, though, whenever I go to the grocery stores and stuff, ever since that whole stuff I was talking about, the cough stuff, um, like I'll try to find on the shelves the cheapest store brand items because that's what I can barely afford that, but that's what I'm supposed to be getting with my income is the cheap stuff, you know, the stuff that poor people usually get. Well, anyways, whenever I go to look for it off the shelves or whatever, it's all gone. The cheapest price stuff has been gone for years now, ever since the cough stuff. It's just getting worse. And I'll go there different times of the day to shop or whatever, and it's still like that. I mean, it's like, and I know it's people that can afford to get otherwise that's doing it, especially around here where I live at. I know what it is. It's a bunch of I mean, the truth's the truth. It's a bunch of older people, and I'm talking about the greatest generation and baby boomers. It's their generation that's doing it because they're tightwads, most of them are, and they're the ones that have the more incomes, unless if they work for the medical field or unless if they're like doctors or lawyers or something like that, you know. That's the highest paid jobs around here and stuff. So it's mostly retired people, and they're mostly older generation people, the greatest generation they so-called call them, or the boomers generation is what they call them, and they're the ones who do it. They're the ones who always hit it first before the people who actually, that's the ones it's meant for. It makes sense to me. It might not make sense to you all, but that's just the way I feel. I feel like the stuff that's priced low like that is meant for the people. And I do not get food stamps. I've told y'all that several times in all kinds of videos of mine or whatever. So I get the stuff that's the cheapest, you know, because I don't have much income at all. And so that's what I go with. I just feel like that people like that should not be getting those prices. They can afford to get other priced items, you know, but it's like that at every single grocery store around here. And so most of the time, and like I said, I go there at different times of the day. Sometimes I go there first thing in the morning whenever I have money to go shopping or whatever. Sometimes I'll wait till midday. It doesn't matter anymore though what time I go. Even if I was the first person to go in the door as soon as the store opens, you can guarantee you're not going to find nothing on the shelves because of the people around here. And I'm sure it's not just like this here where I live at. I'm sure it's like that for other people in other rural places. But it's like that here for sure. And I know the ones that does it. I've seen them do it before, and they don't think nothing of it. And it even like back during the cough stuff, even in those times, I seen people sit right in front of me, and I'll be honest with you, it was the old people from those generations. They was the worst ones to do it, buddy. They act like it belongs to them, like they own everything, and they act like everybody else don't matter. And I've seen people back during the cough stuff. It would be the last item on the shelf, and or they'd only be like two items left. Well, they would take it all. They wouldn't even, and they knew that the people like me or someone else behind them was wanting something too, and they didn't offer. They didn't, you know, they didn't care. They just took it all. So think about it in times like that at how people are. Even now, with nothing really going on other than just prices being so high, people are rude as hell even now, especially the older people. I'm sorry, but it's just the truth. That's what I've witnessed and stuff living around here ever since I've been an adult. And it is around here where I live at. They're the worst ones. Is the ones who's the older people, and as far as like money and stuff like that goes, and as far as being stingy and stuff like that, and not having no respect for other human beings or caring about other human beings, it's always the older people. And I hate to say it, but around here where I live at, it's actually the churchgoers for the most part. the old women, church-going people, they're worse, but the old men can be just as bad too. I've seen them just as bad too. And then the baby boomers are terrible around here. But that's just my opinion. I gotta get me another drink of juice. Excuse me. But no, just think about how bad it is right now before any of this stuff happening. And then, two, I think it would be a good idea if you can to save like plastic jugs, like milk jugs or whatever, and just kind of rinse them out or clean them out or whatever, and then store water up in them. I'm telling you guys, water is everything. It was for me, anyways, back in 2022 when we had that big flood here. And I told y'all in a different video, but I'll tell you again. I did, because there were places, there were all kinds of places that was giving away water for free. And I think that water should be free. That's just my opinion. But anyways, they don't do that no more, but they was back then. Anyways, I did stock up, and I wasn't being stingy. Y'all can think what you want to, but I know the truth, and my maker knows the truth too. So anyways, that's all that matters. But I did stock up. I gave water away to family members and stuff too that couldn't get to it and stuff. I stocked up in my house though, on the inside of my house back then. I had 43 cases of water. And I had them in jugs, and I also had them in cases, because I was using it to cook with. Sometimes I was using it to take like a whole bath in, and then we was using it to drink with and stuff too. And then I do have other family members that live with me. So anyways, back then, those cases of water lasted, and our water was off here for a long time. I feel like it was off for like 2 months, but it might not have been that long. It just felt like it was off that long. It was so terrible going without water, not being able to shower. You don't know how much you miss water until it's gone. And you don't know how convenient water is until it's gone. And yeah, I know I live next to a pond. That pond does not belong to me. And I know it's like a water resource, and yes, there's good and bad to it, and I'm not going to get into it in this video. But you still would not want to drink that water unless if you had already bought up, and I don't have nothing like that. But if you had bought up, and that would be a good thing to stock up on too, is like those filter systems and different thing like that that cleans your water, that you can turn it into drinking water, like those life straws and all that stuff. That would be a good idea to stock up on if you had the money to do so. But anyways, I mean, if I had to, I could bath in that pond or whatever, but I probably wouldn't do it. I would still probably just catch rain or something like that and just take a whole bath or something if I had to or whatever. But anyways, that water that I had, those 43 cases of water back then, they lasted, after the flood of 2022, they lasted me for 6 months. 43 cases of water and jugs lasted me for 6 months, me and my family. So you'll say it like a family of 3 or 4. It lasted us for 6 months. That's all it lasted. 43 cases. So water. And then too, you have to have this storage room to store some of that stuff, like that water and stuff. And I don't have the storage space to store nothing. And also, like those cases of water, they're heavy. And you have to have good flooring. And it would be better if you had like a concrete floor, like a garage, or a metal or concrete building or block building to store stuff like that, the heavy stuff. But those cases of water are not light, they are heavy. Even the smaller ones are heavy. Even whenever I'm packing them out from the vehicle to take them inside the house after I go grocery shopping, those things are heavy to carry. And yes, it would be nice if you could afford, or a person could afford, to buy like one of those Berkeley or whatever they're called, water filters. But even those are expensive. I mean, First off, you'd have to know how to hook one up. Then those things, I think they start off at like $800 or $900 is the cheapest one. And then two, on top of it, you have to buy like salt, and you have to buy the expensive salt that's good for you, the pink Himalayan salt, and stuff to filter them out with. And those don't last forever either, like everybody wants to act like and stuff. So, but water is life. I mean, that should be everybody's number one prepping item. And yes, I do believe that the government should give. I don't think people should charge nothing for water, but they do. I mean, I understand everybody's got to have a job and make a living or whatever and has to have income, but I don't think that people should. I don't think we should charge. I don't think anywhere in the world should charge for water, but it happens and it's stupid, but that's just my opinion. And then another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is just the tariffs that's going on from the new president and stuff. And I'm not saying, I'm not getting into politics, whether I'm yay or nay for it or whatever. I don't have an understanding enough to really talk about that, anyways, on the whole tariff stuff. I can just tell you what I've experienced so far about the tariffs around here locally to me. Yes, I'm even experiencing stuff here locally, and I don't do very little shopping, like I said, because, excuse me, I think there's something blooming out and it's affecting my allergies. Sorry, guys. But anyways, I'm on very, very little income right now. And so anyways, what I have seen the past, well, ever since he started the tariff stuff, our new president, I guess it's been going on for a few months now. I don't really know. I don't keep up with politics too much, to be honest. But anyways, in the grocery stores, the egg prices. Okay, I shopped this month at one of the nicer grocery stores, the nicest grocery store that we have in this county that I live at here in Letcher County, Kentucky, at our local Food City grocery store. Okay, and this was the first month that I bought eggs there again at that grocery store because of the eggs prices being so high. Well, I just got like a carton of a dozen eggs. They were large eggs, nothing special or anything like that, or fancy or anything. And I'm sure they wasn't like the healthiest ones or whatever. They were probably like the off-brand 2 eggs or whatever. But anyways, I think I paid about $4.99 for the dozen of eggs. So to me, the egg prices have came really, really far down from what they were, because I know I was going to my local Walmart and getting eggs because I could get them cheaper and stuff. But I got them from Food City the other day. So the eggs have went down, and they did have a good supply of them when I was there the other day. So the egg prices have came down, but now as far as like fruits and vegetables and juices and coffees and stuff, you know, in the code section and stuff. Whenever I went in there, which I did go around the first of the month, and it's always, as y'all probably know, it's probably like that even in your all's areas. It's crazy, and everything's usually gone in the around the first of the month or whatever. But I went 3 days straight to the grocery store around the first of the month. I went on the first, I went on the second, and I went on the third of the month to the grocery store. Anyways, whenever I went there, the fruits and vegetables section, you know, it's usually on the outer trim of the grocery store. When you're walking inside the grocery store, it's on the outer section. That's usually where you'll find your healthier foods and stuff too, you know, like not processed foods or whatever. Anyways, they had a section of strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, and corn, green beans, and they might have had blackberries. I don't know. I don't even know if blackberries are in right now or not, in season or not, but I know that they did have raspberries. Anyways, whenever I walked past that section there and stuff, they had a lot of strawberries. and I bought strawberries. I bought like 4 or 5 cases of strawberries, and they were reasonably priced for the size of them too. I think it was like you get 3 packages of the strawberries for $10, so they wasn't really too high from priced or nothing. But they had some raspberries, they had some blueberries, and they had some corn, and they had some green beans and stuff like that. But they had the most of strawberries. And at the time, they had a lot of bananas too. Okay, I go back the next day. The whole entire section of what was left, there was no raspberries, and they had it pretty good stocked up. I mean, you know, just as high as what the strawberries was. You could tell people was getting them, but the day before, but it wasn't empty or nothing. Anyways, whenever I went back the next day, the entire section of raspberries and blueberries. I gotta get a drink of my orange juice. Hold on just a second, guys. Finished it off. Anyways, that entire section of raspberries, blueberries, and all the berries except for the strawberries, everything was gone. There wasn't not one single package left of no raspberries, no blueberries, none of the berries. The only thing that was left was one package of strawberries. That's all that was left. And I didn't take it. I left it for somebody. I'm sure like I didn't even pay attention to it. But cuz I know it's cheaper to just buy the whole stuff yourself and cut it up yourself. But I'm sure like the refrigerator section where they keep like, you know, already cut up or platters of like the berries or cut up pieces of watermelon or whatever like that. I'm sure they had stuff over there, and they probably even had like raspberries and stuff like that over there in that section. But I hardly ever buy from that section, even though it's nice or whatever. I just don't have that kind of income to spend on stuff like that, the extra. It pays me out more to just buy like the whole watermelon, so to speak, or the whole container of strawberries or whatever, and just wash them and cut them off myself, is to just buying stuff individually that's already been, washed and cut up or whatever. So anyways, there was nothing there and that was just the second of the month. And then anyways, like I said, I went there 3 days straight in a row. So I go there on the 3rd. I'm going to the same grocery store every single day or whatever. And this is the more fancier, the more costlier grocery store in my area. It's probably the best grocery store in my area. And but you can get like a discount card, and you can save money on groceries and stuff from that store or whatever. I do use someone's discount card, and they know I use it. Only thing I use it on is just to save money on my groceries. I do not use their like gas bucks or anything like that, and they know that I use it, and it actually helps them out, if anything, that I do use it, because that's where I shop at. It's still cheaper for me to shop at that place than it is any other store, because these other discounted stores around here, they don't have half of what that store has to choose from. And even though that store don't have very much, it still has more than any of the other stores does. It's kind of like, even though I live out here in the country or whatever, it's kind of like this place is a little bit like a food desert, if you know what I mean, in a way. I mean, yeah, back decades ago, people used to make gardens, and people still do have gardens and stuff, but people used to raise gardens and stuff like that. But even like back in my parents' time period and stuff, and they are baby boomers, but anyways, back in their time periods and stuff, I don't think that they ever grew up with like lettuce heads and stuff like that when they was growing up, or fresh fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. I don't know when that stuff started coming in the area here. Um, I don't know if it was like in the late 70s or what, but I think it wasn't too long ago when fresh fruits and vegetables and grocery stores started popping up here in eastern Kentucky. I don't think it's been for that long or nothing. But, anyways, whenever I went back on that third day of the month, and like I said, on the second day, all but one container of strawberries was left. When I went back on the third day, every single one of the bananas had been almost picked over. And what I mean by that is, they had like 2 rows stacked to stack, like one side of here bananas, like a triangle thing. One side here bananas, one thing on the other side was bananas, full, a whole rack or whatever, table or whatever. Anyways, whenever I went back on that third day, it was just like maybe 2 or 3 little bananas here and there on each side, and they were picked over. It was like, or some of them was just like one. You could tell people had been tearing them apart, and they left all the bad ones, is what I'm saying. They had bad spots in them. They were already turning, dark brown or black even. They were just picked over, and so nobody would want them. And then two, there was a few, not many, of the ones that come in like the packages, the plastic wrapping, like a whole thing of them, and they're not ripe yet. They're like green. But I'll tell you all, I don't know if you're all like this or not, but I don't like to get them because every time I get them, it seems like, I don't know if it's because they freeze them in a freezer or put them in a, refrigerator or what, the traveling time or what it is. But it seems like they have a real bad taste to them when you get the ones like that that's not ripe or nothing at all, And then it seems like they rot and stuff faster. And yeah, I know bananas. I still don't like to get them though. That doesn't make me want to get them or nothing. But I know you're supposed to eat the bananas. They're more healthier for you. The ones that is like turning black and brown, the ones that are rotting and stuff. Those are the ones that's more healthier for you. But I still don't like them or anything. But anyways, that's what I've been seeing on the tariffs, I guess you could say, thing of what's been picked over at my store, which is odd because it is the fruits and the vegetables or whatever that's been picked over and stuff. And then also, that was fruit. And then the vegetables, it seems like the corn was gone, the green beans is gone, which it's that time of year too when all that stuff is coming in from other states and people go off here, like stores and stuff, and they get it and bring this produce in. And around here in this area, that's what people look for, myself included, all year long, is good eating and like that, like green beans and peas and stuff like that, corn. And people do raise it in their gardens and stuff around here if they have gardens, but we don't have a very long season when it comes to gardening and stuff. Yeah, we have longer than most, but we still don't have a really long season. We're not like California or Florida or nothing like that, your southern states or nothing. We don't have, as long of a season whenever it comes to growing and stuff. Maybe about 6 months, if it's according on the weather and stuff, is about how long we have. But really, in that 6 months, the first part of it, first few months or so, it's just basically people getting their garden and stuff together to grow and stuff like that. So we don't really have that long of seasons or nothing. A lot of people around here, especially like mom and pop stores and stuff, they will go to, I'm gonna get up here for a second from this table, but they will go to down south in southern states, and they will get produce and stuff and bring it up here to sell out of their stores and stuff. A lot of places do that from around here. But I don't know, that's basically all I've been seeing. Now, I think there's been like a little bit of a shortage, but I can't really tell it or nothing with like toilet paper and stuff. But stuff like that comes and goes, and I'm sure it will get worse or whatever. But because I guess we get a lot of our stuff from Canada, I'm not really sure, but I think we do whenever it comes to our paper goods. And so we just got to see how the tariff thing's going to go with Canada and stuff. Now the other day, as far as like prices goes, I got myself a #1 Big Mac meal from McDonald's, and then I also got another person a #3. I don't know what it is. I think it's like a quarter pounder or something meal. Not really sure. But anyways, that costed me $18 and something, almost $19. There's a fly on my finger that was recording, sorry. Anyways, it costed me almost $19 for those 2 meals from McDonald's. And I think that's high. I think that's ridiculous. You know, almost $10 a piece for 2 meals, 2 combo meals from McDonald's. So I think that's really, really ridiculous, but that's just my opinion. Anyways, I've kept you on here way too long, and I've just been yapping and gabbing away, so I'm gonna get off here and go in the house and do some work. Unfortunately, I don't want to do, but it's just some advice from me on what I would do if I had the money to do and stuff right now. And it wouldn't hurt to prepare either way. Even if something does or doesn't happen, it's not going to hurt anybody to be more prepared, because eventually, someday, all this little conspiracy theories, supposedly, or whatever, eventually they're going to come to pass. And most of the time, all these conspiracy things people so-called say or whatever, they already have. A lot of them has come to pass or whatever. So it's just a matter of time. But anyways, I'm gonna get off here, and I will talk to y'all later. Y'all can tell me in the comments if you all are having any problems or seeing any differences in your stores or whatever with the tariffs, or you think it's the tariff situation or what it is. And I will talk to y'all later. Thanks, and be sure to tell me where you're from if you do tell me you're having tariff issues. Tell me what state or wherever you live, and tell me what your prices are. Anyways, thanks y'all. I appreciate you. Have a nice day. Thanks. Bye.